I've wrestled with whether or not I should even make this video, not because I don't have an opinion, but because I understand the weight of having a platform and the consequence of simply speaking because everyone else is speaking. Does that mean everyone watching this will agree with me? Probably not. If you haven't watched my previous reel, I'm going to tag it here because it sets the stage for what I'm about to share. I'm also grouping this entire conversation together so that if you'd like to walk through it from the beginning to the end, you'll be able to do that. For the past several weeks, I've been quiet, not because I didn't have an opinion and not because I wasn't paying attention, especially when you're trying to discern how to navigate your own emotions and reflections around a topic that is both sensitive and incredibly time sensitive. Some conversations deserve more than a reaction, right? I believe this one deserved prayer. It deserved study. It deserved discipline. It deserved research. It deserved listening. It deserved sitting down with people who haven't just spent years understanding immigration law and community advocacy policy and the realities that these families are facing, but because it's important for me to navigate what moves we're going to make and what solutions we're going to bring to the table. I never want to be the loudest voice in the room if I haven't first been the most teachable. And I never want to move a room emotionally if I don't know how to move it toward a solution. It's one thing to capture people's attention. It's another thing to steward that attention enough that people leave with clarity, direction, and a tangible way to respond. I didn't learn that in a classroom. I watched it in real life. I watched my parents live it. I watched two Haitian immigrants come to this country, become citizens, build careers, raise a family, and more than 35 years ago, plant a church in the heart of Little Haiti. What left the greatest impression on me wasn't simply that they built a church. It was what they believed the church was supposed to be. To them, the church wasn't just a place to attend on Sundays. It was where people found hope, where strangers became family, where faith became practical, and prayer meant that provision was on the way, where people didn't just hear the gospel, they experienced it, they lived it. I've watched people walk through those doors carrying burdens that no one could see, families find stability, and those burdens be lifted off of them. New immigrants trying to understand a country that is unfamiliar, parents trying to provide for their children, young adults trying to figure out where they belong, the people who needed someone to pray with them, someone to hear them, to connect with them, to give them the resources. That's the type of church that I grew up in. That's the type of church that raised me. So when conversations about immigration started dominating the headlines, I realized I couldn't approach it like everyone else. Because I don't hear statistics first. I hear names, I see faces, I remember conversations, I remember people kneeling at altars, I remember families sitting in church pews believing God for an opportunity. These aren't strangers to me. They're my community. They're my neighbors. They're my brothers. They're my sisters. Some are people I've known my entire life. And then I started reading scripture again, not looking for verses to defend an opinion, but looking for God and his heart. And I kept running into the same invitation to speak for those who cannot speak for themselves, to defend the vulnerable, to remember what it feels like to be a stranger, to love my neighbor. Those aren't political slogans. They're invitations into the character of Jesus Christ. Now, does that mean everyone watching this will agree with me? Probably not. And honestly, that's okay. Agreement isn't what I'm chasing. My prayer is that before we're committed to our opinions, we're committed to letting scripture examine our hearts. Because if we'll let God search us first, I believe we'll start asking different questions that move us beyond outrage, beyond fear, silence, and is going to move us towards wisdom, towards compassion, towards responsibility, and most importantly, they will move us towards action. Over the next few conversations, I simply want to invite you into the journey I've been on, the conversations I've had, the history that I've revisited, the research, the questions that I've been asking scriptures, and what I've been asking the Lord, and the convictions that come with all of it. Because I have a feeling this conversation is much bigger than the headlines we've been reading. And before we decide what we believe, maybe we should first ask the kind of people we're becoming. I'll see you in the next conversation.